As a non-native speaker, your needs are unique and your leadership training should also be unique. That's why I'm here. Today, you're going to learn 3 small things that you can do that will have a big impact on your executive presence. My name is Tanya Suarez, and as a communication coach, I specifically work with non native speakers in developing their American business English and their leadership communication skills. Speaking of leadership, remember to download this free audio training at tanyasuarez.com/lead. This will help you learn on the go and be able to develop your leadership skills from anywhere. Now, the first tip I have for you is don't look away the whole time when you're thinking. This is really important because this is going to say, oh, when I tell you the amount of times I've seen my clients do this, I get why you do it. It's because you're looking around as you're thinking about the structure that you want to use. Maybe there's a specific word that you know is advanced and you want to make sure you use it so that you come across as having elevated English. Unfortunately, looking around while you're looking for the right word is killing your executive presence. What happens is you know as a non-native speaker that you're looking for the English. However, the perception is that you're looking for the information. It's coming across as insecurity about your expertise. And that's the reason that you're there. So I really want you to embrace using simpler English. And at the end of the day, especially American English, we don't value C2 level grammar structure. In fact, that's going to make you sound more robotic or overly formal. So use simpler sentence structure so that you can speak smoothly, clearly, and quickly. I'm not saying at the speed, but I'm saying instead of, um, mm, well, this quarter we should. That isn't someone who I want to trust. And notice the body language. Like you immediately, as you're looking around, the tendency is you're going to bring yourself in. Your body's trying to keep itself safe. And so this is really impacting the way in which you think. So if your body thinks it's in danger, your heart rate elevates, the anxiety increases. And from a cognitive perspective, you're not able to access the English and the thoughts that you need because your brain thinks it's an emergency. And in an emergency, advanced adjectives are not the priority. So you want to make sure that you're not looking around because the domino effect of that is really negative. Now, what should you do instead? Instead, make natural eye contact, but that's not the only tip. I also want you to relax your forehead. Now, if you're in a virtual meeting, the eye contact part is really great because it's just the camera. So don't look at the person who's speaking on the screen. Don't look around down here. You want to look at the camera. And if you have notes, even what I'm doing right now, you're going to put your notes right under your camera so that even if you have to read them, they're so close to where eye contact perception is, your delivery is going to look a lot better. Now, the reason I say relax your forehead is because as a non-native speaker, when you're thinking about what to say, it's different than when a native speaker is thinking about what to say because you're thinking about not just your expertise, your wisdom, your experience. You're also thinking about what noun, what adjective, what level, what structure, all of the years of you feeling self-conscious about being made fun of for saying something with an accent, and you're trying to prevent that. That's a lot. So something you can do to help your brain kind of work through that faster. But most importantly, in my training, I like to always focus on helping you look more confident first as you're working on feeling more confident. Because you can look more confident immediately. Feeling more confident, that takes a different kind of work. And it's something that I love doing, but I want you to have immediate results. So when you relax your forehead, this area here, your shoulders start to relax too. Because when this is relaxed, this becomes relaxed. And sometimes you can flip it. Maybe for you, relaxing your shoulders will help remind your face to relax. And that's going to help the delivery of whatever you're saying, even if there's a grammar mistake. If you say it confidently, that's what matters. Because you want to be respected. And in your mind, proper English is what you need to be respected. But I'm telling you right now, at your level, the English that you have is good enough. The delivery, how you say it, that's what's going to earn respect. All right, the next tip I have here is don't use filler words excessively. Now, I wanted to add excessively because using some filler words, which by the way, filler words are that's okay. We all do it. But it's using them too much that kills the confident delivery. Now, I would say in my work with non-native speakers, the part where this has the greatest impact is using too many filler words or even any filler words at the beginning. A lot of times, if you start your sentences and your responses with too many filler words, the rest of your communication, it just doesn't flow. Not only that, but you probably lose the attention of the person at first. So I'll show you what this looks like. So let's say you're in a meeting, you're about to talk about the person's presentation about the first quarter numbers. Well, looking at the numbers there, I think I would recommend so already everyone listening feels exhausted. It's really, even you listening to me right now, it's really hard to follow. It also it doesn't show confidence. And as a leader, people need to trust what comes out of your mouth because they're going to implement that. That's the message they're going to relay to their teams. So something you can do, because not having any fillers, that's not realistic. I don't want you to try to have the kind of training that is all or nothing. We want to be realistic and we want to do things that can be implemented. So here, I would recommend instead of using especially at the beginning, use a filler like well. It's going to sound a lot more professional. And I'll show you. So same example. Um, well, for next quarter, we should instead, well, next quarter, we should blah, blah, blah. So notice even the well, because it sounds more professional, my body language responded to that. I was able to immediately find the camera and have that eye contact. So by changing the style, you also help your body feel differently. And again, the more you look more confident, the more you feel more confident, the more you sound more confident. So this is a tiny trick. Just substitute with well at the beginning and your response is going to immediately sound more professional. Now, the other thing here is if you still need more time, there are two things. Number one, breathe, breathe more. Number two, you're going to do well instead of. And number three, repeat some of what was said. The leaders that I've worked with, a lot of times they spend a lot of energy trying to prove that their English is good enough. And I keep trying to remind them, and I want to remind you, you already got the job. You're in the position. You are the CFO. You are the whatever position that you're in. So stop trying to earn the position and instead shift your focus on earning respect. But that can be tricky too, because a lot of people that I work with, they think they earn respect by having elevated English. And it's not that. It's about your expertise. So I want you to focus more on leaning into your professionalism, not your English. And again, I'm telling you, C2 level is not natural. So I'm so glad that maybe you tested at that level or that's your goal to test at that level. But B2, B1 is actually much more natural in American business English. So simplify your structure and remember your ideas, your strategies are valuable, but you need to communicate those strategies in a way that it's clear and concise. All right. And the third tip I have for you today is don't answer immediately. Oh, this one's really challenging because there are a couple of reasons people tend to answer immediately. And understanding why you're doing something is the best way to fix that behavior. Because then you can choose, do I still need that reasoning or can I change it so that I can have more effective communication? So if you're answering immediately, typically for the non-native speaker, because your experience is unique, it's different. I find that you're probably doing this because you want to prove that you have the English to respond immediately. Also, you've probably, instead of listening actively, you've probably been planning your response and you want to make sure you say it before you forget the structure that you planned. I'm pausing for effect here. If this is you, I want you to know it's okay. This tendency, this strategy got you this far, but it's not the way that I want you to communicate moving forward. This comes from insecurity and it comes from not listening actively. And as a leader, this is something that is crucial. Listening is so much more important than speaking at this level. So, what I want you to do, and we're going to talk about breathing again. And you'll notice that in the training that I do for fluency and for confidence, breath work, the way that you breathe, is a huge component. So, I'd rather you work on your breathing than work on your elevated vocabulary. That's how important it is. Of course, you can do both, but this is where you're going to see the fastest results. So, when someone's speaking, my rule is if lips are moving, your lungs are working. Stop trying to plan your response. I know why you're doing it. You want to make sure that you sound correct. You want to make sure that you're able to communicate your ideas accurately and really make an impact, but it's killing your communication. Trust that you'll be able to navigate the situation when it's time for you to respond. I really want you to focus on breathing when other people are speaking. And the reason is when you're breathing when others are speaking, not only are you listening better, your anxiety decreases. When your anxiety decreases, your heart rate stabilizes. Your brain is able to access the information that it needs. And this is going to have a much more natural communication than if you're holding on and planning. And the body language that happens when you're in that state is not natural. So everything is going to look a lot better. Now, the other thing is, you have to let go of trying to be correct because being correct, again, it's not why you got the job. None of you listening to me are listening to me for leadership skills as a teacher of English. You're here because you work in an industry where you need English, but remember, that's not why you got hired. You need good English, don't get me wrong, but don't let that overshadow the reason that you're in this position and what your team needs of you. They need you. They deserve you. They deserve to hear the strategies and the wisdom that you have. But you need to communicate it in a way that can be implemented. Okay, so you're going to breathe. Breathe when others are speaking. When it's your turn to respond, this is where we also use the tip number 1 and tip number 2. You're going to inhale. So this is what you are going to do. You're going to inhale before you speak. It's going to feel like forever to you because you're not used to it. Trust me. It is not even something that they're perceiving. They perceive when you answer in a nervous energy immediately, but when you breathe calmly and you respond, what's being perceived is that you're a calm and confident leader. Now, I'm not saying breathe for 20 seconds. No, it's going to be a natural breath. If anything, even just the inhale part is sufficient until you get more used to owning that time. So you're going to breathe. You're going to maybe use using well, the filler word well, instead of well, I believe it's best to blah, blah, blah. And look, I looked away a little bit as I was thinking, but then I brought the eye contact back. So this is where these 3 tips really complement each other. Now, if you still need more time, what I would recommend instead of and ah and like breathing for an awkward amount of time, get more information before you respond. Ask questions. Now, don't ask random questions, ask questions that are relevant, of course. Ask questions also that not don't just buy you time, but give you valuable information that you can use for your response. For example, you're going to inhale. Well, actually, I'd like to know, I'm curious about what is something that you've done that hasn't worked this week? So notice even there, I still said like, I still kind of faltered a bit, but I did it in a more confident way. I didn't let it detract from my confidence. I just built on it. And then by asking, what have you done this week that hasn't worked? It really lets you understand what is their action. You can ask like, who's leading this? What are they doing that isn't working? It gives you a better idea of how the team's functioning so that your response is more relevant and more bespoke to their situation. So this is where when you're not rushing to prove yourself, you're really able to enhance your leadership communication skills. So by improving your leadership communication, you're also improving your leadership. And that's so empowering. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for this live lunch and learn. Remember to download your free audio leadership training at tanyasuarez.com lead. This is really great. It's about a 10-13 minute audio that you can put on the go, and it helps you understand American leadership communication essentials. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate that you're letting me be your English communication coach. And join me again next week for more American business and leadership communication tips.